and welcome back to the Final Whistle podcast. This week we're doing a debate episode about the most overrated Premier League players, and we're going to decide who we think is the overrated player and probably have a bit of discussion between ourselves. So joining me is Adam O'Connell, who was on the Liverpool-Arsenal review, and of course Daniel is back with us for this. Now, Adam, who are you putting forward as your most overrated player?
The Crystal Palace forward, Wilfred Zaha.
What's your reasoning behind that?
Well, I mean, for a forward, you expect him to get quite a few goals or assists. But in the 218 appearances he has in the Premier League, he has just under 40 goals and 24 assists. So, as a forward, you'd expect him to do much better than that.
Yeah, especially as he's often linked with he's going to get a move to a big club.
Yeah.
With those stats, I wonder, do you think that maybe a reason that he's a decline is the fact that he might not be, I don't know, as happy to play for Palace, Dan?
I don't think it's that. I think he's always focused at whatever club he's at. When he was at United, I think it was a bit unfortunate, really. I think that the price tag that he had, I think that was why he didn't perform at United. But he does all these skill moves, but it's like 1 in 5 that come off. So
he's an interesting player. I think obviously he's got a lot of talent, but how much he actually puts into it, and I guess that is a good reason to shove someone in as overrated. Obviously been linked with a move away from Crystal Palace. Is there anyone in the Premier League that you could see him going to, Adam?
I think he will try and stick with Crystal Palace at the moment. Maybe seeing how he goes, he might try and move back to United, but it's not very likely from my perspective, but he might do. I don't know.
Dan?
I can see him going to a club possibly like Everton that are just missing out on Europa League. I can see him going to a sort of side like that, possibly Wolves, Sheffield United. I think it would be a good purchase for either of them.
Well, Sheffield United, I don't think Sheffield United have got the money to sign Zaha, especially if they were going to try and if they weren't going to try and get him out of contract. I think probably the most realistic out of them, as you said, would be like Everton, especially with how well they're doing and under Ancelotti at the moment. Obviously, they've had some few easy games at the start there, but they've got quite a good project. So I think to be honest, that would be quite a acceptable one to shove Zaha in at a club. Well, yeah, Adam, you were going to say something?
Yeah, with him saying, with Daniel saying Everton, I think they were looking to sign him before the price tag of 80 million went up for Zaha from Crystal Palace. So Everton is a good shout for him to go to.
No one's going to pay 80 million for Zaha. That is ridiculously stupid, but I guess that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Dan, your turn. If you had to put forward an overrated Premier League player, who would you suggest?
Mine is Chelsea's number 19, Mason Mount.
What's your reasoning behind that? Had quite a good game against West Brom, but what's your reasoning?
I just, as a cam, I see it as you're meant to produce all these skill moves and you create a load of chances, whereas I don't see him offering that much, considering how much he's talked about in the press and how he's meant to be the next greatest cam and things.
I think though, if he's got certain good things. Obviously, very good at free kicks. He's very good at certain plays. I guess if you're saying about skill moves there for a cam, you don't always necessarily have to follow the exact mold of this is what you've got to be to play here. But I see what you mean, Dan. Adam, sorry, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can agree with that. Mason Mount, he doesn't really do much at Chelsea. He's just one of them odd players that maybe will fill in or if need be, there's someone to try and get fresh legs on the pitch and try and get a late goal. But,
yeah. I think he's one of the reasons he's so hyped up by Chelsea fans or just people in general is the fact that of how much Lampard used him last year. But I think if Lampard hadn't been at Derby the season before, there's no way Mason Mount would have been getting in that starting 11, because obviously Tomori had been at Derby instead of Mount. If those two had been like somewhere else and Lampard had just gone straight to Chelsea, there was no way that they'd be getting in that team. Do you think that's correct? Any of you?
I think that is
I
correct.
sorry, I agree as well. Yeah, with you.
But Dan, you gonna say something or just?
I just totally agree with that. I think that if he wasn't at Derby last season, I don't think he'd be getting into the Chelsea squad this season. I think he's Bielsa's version of Patrick Bamford. He can get into a Frank Lampard team on whatever team he's managing.
I think that's quite a good point, because obviously Leeds have got Rodrigo, I think it is the guy they brought in this summer. Very good in La Liga previous few seasons. Looked a bit rubbish, to be honest, when he's been playing with Leeds so far in the Premier League. And they also went back and used Bamford. And yeah, Bamford's not great, but as you said, he's probably there just as you were in this team in the league, in the Championship last season, which fair enough if you can do a job. Yeah, so the player I've thought of as we were saying before the recording, I would normally say Firmino because he does nothing, but maybe as well we can talk about him later. But the one I'm going to suggest is Man City's Ederson. He's very glorified, I feel, for the performances that City are producing. Obviously, City have spent a lot of money on defenders, and I'm wondering whether they've got all these really good defenders. Is it not the goalkeeper that's the issue? Do you think Ederson's the issue, Adam?
I think he is the issue because the defenders, they're not the greatest defenders in the world, but then they're not the worst also. So they're quite decent at defending. Ederson, he likes to push out a lot more than he should. He prefers to, like, if the ball's coming towards him, he'll run at it, player or no player. A bit careless, I feel, between the sticks.
Is there anyone that you could see that could maybe in world football right now be a realistic replacement for Ederson at Man City?
I can't see anyone currently, possibly Leno of Arsenal, because I think he provides everything. He's a shot stopper and his distribution isn't that bad either. But I couldn't really see City signing someone off Arsenal.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Would you see, I know it's a bit of a wild one, I don't know whether City would do it, depends how much they're willing to spend. The obvious answer in my mind would be ter Stegen, because he's very good. We've seen that in Champions League performances. It would ter Stegen leave Barcelona? How much would it cost them? I don't think Neuer would leave Bayern Munich to come to Man City. Is there anyone, Adam, that you see could replace Ederson?
I don't think Man City are really looking for a goalkeeper right now because I think they're quite happy with Ederson. So no, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, very interesting one. I've just got some stats up here that he's made 111 Premier League appearances and he's only got 52 clean sheets. So he's obviously also got 6 yellow cards and 1 red card. It was on the Mane with all the other incidents in there, but that's 52 clean sheets in 111 appearances. That is shocking for a goalkeeper, I think. That's less than 50% of his matches that he's kept a clean sheet. Would you, if it was maybe a club like Chelsea, obviously everyone's slagging off Kepa, but if Leno had those stats, I think the Arsenal fans would be really annoyed. Do you think that would happen, Adam?
Arsenal fans, this is not me like putting any hate towards any of them, but like Arsenal fans are very like defensive over their players, so I don't think their Arsenal fans would be very happy if Leno was not putting out a clean sheet most weeks. because they're expected to be one of like the top 6 teams, and not pulling out a clean sheet 50% of the time. It's a bit poor, really.
Well, according to the website Sport Bible, and they did a poll looking at the most overrated players in the Premier League. A few of these, if we just go through and see whether you agree with them. So Edison was in goal for there, so he's kind of discussed that already. Left back Emerson at Chelsea. What are our thoughts on that, Dan?
I haven't really seen much of him, but I think that he's solid in all areas of the game. And in fairness, I don't really hear much people talking about him. So,
And next up, centre back Adam, obviously being a Liverpool fan, Joe Gomez. Would you class him as overrated? I don't think I would put him in that bracket. I just don't think he's as good.
I don't think he's overrated at all, because not many people really speak about him in the first place. And to call him overrated, I don't think's the right word, because
Yeah.
he does put in a solid performance, as we saw against Arsenal. He did put in a shift. But I think if anyone in defence that are overrated for Liverpool would be Matip, I feel. But yeah, Gomez, I don't think so.
Now, the other centre-back is Davinson Sanchez at Spurs and right-back Wan-Bissaka. But if we move into midfield, one of the first names in this midfield three of a 4-3-3 is Scott McTominay, Man United. I wouldn't really put him in overrated. I think he does quite well for Man United in the middle, quite solid, and I think he's got a bit of a fight in him for Man United. And then another name in there, Harry Winks at Spurs. Dan, would you call him overrated?
I'd call him very overrated, because you can tell that he loves Spurs. He's one of them players, again, that he just doesn't really offer anything for your team. And you need players that offer more than just 100%. They need to have quality, and I don't see quality in Harry Winks.
Next one's up, Gini Wijnaldum at Liverpool. There was no way I'd put him in overrated. I think he put in a brilliant performances, especially last season, helping them. Well, not last season before in the Champions League when they did really well. Zaha's on there, we've already mentioned. Xherdan Shaqiri on the right. Now, Adam and Bobby and I discussed Shaqiri a little bit when we did our review of the Liverpool-Arsenal match, and we did kind of put out the fact that he's put us in the shift for Liverpool and is a good backup. Adam, what's your view on Shaqiri as a player?
Yeah, I can back what you just said. He's not really one of them starting 11 players that we have in the squad. It's more if Salah needs a rest or he's injured or whatever. It's just, yeah.
And then finally, up top, which could be a bit of an iffy one on either side, Tammy Abraham. Dan, what are your thoughts on him?
I think when you score as many goals as he had, you're going to get talked about, and I don't see him as overrated. But I suppose if he's not starting for Chelsea this season and he still gets talked about, then I start to think that he's overrated, because if you're not playing, you shouldn't be talked about.
Adam, what are your thoughts on Chelsea's backup striker now to Timo Werner?
What Dan is saying is absolutely true. If you're not gonna play matches, there's no reason for you to be in press or in the media at all. Werner, yeah, he's a good backup for Werner, 100%. Maybe people could say he's better than Werner from Werner's performances in recent games.
Yeah, he's an interesting one, because obviously, again, came from the Championship with Chelsea's transfer ban. They couldn't really bring in a striker, so they relied on him last season. I wouldn't put him spectacularly, but he's one of those players. Now, another player I've just thought of, a bit like Abraham, doesn't play now. He hasn't playing loads. Divock Origi, Liverpool. obviously Adam will be good for you because he got all those crucial Champions League goals. But I just wonder, he's only been with those moments, and he has shown quite good promise when he's playing like the full match or the whole majority of the match. And with Firmino being classed by the general public as so bad as a striker than an out and out forward, would you rather see Origi start up top than Firmino, Adam?
I wouldn't until Firmino falls off a lot more, because at the moment, Mane, Salah, and Firmino, that's a good front three for us, and their connection is very good, playing very well. So I don't
Mm,
think we should replace our striker until needed.
definitely agree with that. Thank you. This was quite a short little episode clip for everyone, just to giving our views on overrated players. Let us know anyone that you think we might have missed. Just let us know anywhere. But thank you for listening. That was the final whistle.